Hi, good evening, guys. We have Mr. Georgi Kadrev. He's the co-founder and CEO of Imagga, which is based in Bulgaria. He was also listed as in Fortune 30 under 30 in 2013, and he's also a lecturer as well as a professor in one of the universities, I believe.
Yeah.
Welcome, George. How are you doing?
Hey Avinash, very nice to see you and to hear from you. All good here, as much as it could be in a pandemic situation, but quite well, I can say.
Yeah,
That we're working on right now. So
yeah,
with the pros and cons of the situation.
yeah. I mean, I want to structure this very properly. I want to ask you, how's your current situation in Bulgaria? You know, we in India, we just got a news that it's extended for another 2 more weeks, a complete lockdown. How is that situation in Bulgaria right now? So we can't literally go out at all. How's that?
Yeah, we had a partial lockdown for almost a month, so you can go out if you have some work to do or something. It's not encouraged that you go out, but it still was not very strict. Of course, if you've been in abroad and you're under home quarantine for 2 weeks, you cannot go out at all. But it's the main prohibition was that people cannot go into public places and join together in groups than more than two people unless they are living officially together. And they cannot go to parks, even they cannot go to nature or something, with the main idea to minimize the chance of them getting infected from each other if they gather in crowds. But it's not like a complete lockdown where you cannot go out at all. So this is good. Actually, there are just some news today that they're starting to loosen up even those measures. So for example, people will be able to go to parks and go to the mountain. I hope that's a good thing. We had our quarantine period for some time. I'm hoping that we're not going to have a second peak of infected people. Fortunately, actually, in Bulgaria, there are not too many people reported. It's about 1,200. Of course, the population of Bulgaria is just like 7 million people. But still, I don't know, for some reason, most of the Eastern European countries seem not to be very virally growing in terms of infected people. Are infected, but they don't have the symptoms at all, and they just recover silently. So that's the overall country situation right now.
Well, I'm glad the cases are less in Bulgaria, and I hope you guys stay safe and at home. You know, in India, the situation is somewhat under control, but things look to get better as we progress because everybody's under lockdown. And in fact, just yesterday I saw your post about your new product, my Kelvin, I believe, and I would love for you to talk about it. I'll just give a brief background about Imagga. Imagga is a very well-known image recognition software company based on artificial intelligence. They're one of the leaders for image recognition in the market. I know Imagga for almost 6 years now. I think 5-6 years we've been meeting.
Yes.
And very, very happy to see the way these guys have progressed. So we'd love for you to talk about your product as well and how you guys are actually helping the medicine industry.
Sure. Yeah, thanks a lot for this opportunity. I can confirm that we know each other for many years in various other ways of image recognition and collaboration regarding image annotation mostly. Funny enough, for a long time, we've been approached for medical imaging applications in the past over the years, mostly for some skin or eye problems that can be potentially detected. We've had some small cases, but we've never specialized the company itself to be like a medical imaging company so far. But in the case of this pandemic situation, shortly after the partial lockdown started in Bulgaria, a team of medical researchers from Bulgaria and the United States contacted us. It was like a very interesting joint team of crazy doctors in a good way, crazy in the in the context of being visionary and you know, looking for innovative ways to help the current situation. So the concept is very simple actually, and this is what makes it kind of very genuine and very interesting. Um, what's the overall idea? If you have a certain process in your body, no matter how big or small, let's say even if I have just sore throat, for example, you know, if I touch myself on the throat, this is gonna be a few uh, a few fraction of the degree warmer than the rest of my um, area of the other area of my body. Why is that? Because if I have an inflammation process, more blood is going there
Mm.
to fight the infection. And because blood is bringing the heat of the body, the
Mm.
side effect is that my body is becoming warmer. The
Mm.
same would happen if I hit my finger, for example, and then more blood is going there to fix the situation. Why is this important? Because if you have a thermal camera, like this one, for example, attached to my phone right now, and I can take a picture of some parts of my body, ideally of the whole upper part of my body above the waist if I'm naked. Not gonna make this on the live right now,
Yeah.
but I'll demonstrate you how you currently, just give me a second, how you can currently see different temperature profile of my face.
Oh,
So you
nice.
can see some areas are warmer. Now, if I can turn on one of the sides, you can see again some of these areas of my
Oh,
face. And on the other, and you can see very clear segmentation. This is not
yeah.
fake. This is like a real, real image of what is going on. You know, you can
Wow.
see also different uh, parts of my body there with different blood flow circulation. I even had a small taking a thermal image of myself, and you can clearly see how the area of my kidney is more contracted, which means there's less blood and it's colder.
Mm.
So why this matter and why this is useful? We think of this as a medical device. No, sorry, not as a medical device, but as a medical imaging tool. The
Mm.
combination between the camera and our software, which can segment the image and can detect certain types of deviation from what it would normally look like. For
Yeah.
example, the temperature of my forehead and my lungs
Mm.
needs to be roughly the same.
Yeah.
So if my lung starts to be warmer than my forehead, this means that there's some response of the immune system in my lungs.
Mm.
So the overall concept, especially, I'll just give an example in the case of COVID-19, and there's a lot of our applications. But in the case of COVID-19, what is happening? As you know, it's asymptomatic for some time, so we don't have any visible symptoms. That's a huge part of the problem why it's so easily spread, because you might be infected and you don't know you're infected. And you realize that you have some complications a few days after you started to actually develop something inside yourself. So let's say you have an increased overall body temperature. This means that you already have a pretty strong kind of progress of the infection going to your bronchialis or the lungs themselves.
Yeah.
And then you already have an increased overall body temperature. But 3, 4, 5 days before that, you've already have started as internal body processes, some things are happening because the thermal system of the body is a very powerful and almost perfect mechanism. So if you have an inflammation somewhere, the other parts of your body are not changing temperature
Mhm.
because you overheat, and your proteins in your body and your cells will start to dissolve. But uh, the fact that you have increased body temperature means that a lot of bad things has happened in the meantime. And the overall magic of this is that you can see these things happening.
Mm.
If you take, let's say, every 4 or 5 hours during daytime, you take photos of yourself with the thermal camera in our software, and it can detect if there's a progress of infection. So this is like an early diagnosis assistant
Yeah.
that can spot that the infection is progressing, and it can alert either the healthcare system or yourself through your GP or other potential means of telemedicine that there are certain problem. If you don't have any change, you don't need to be worried. I mean, even if you're infected, if the infection is staying in the area of your, let's say, throat or nostrils, it's not a huge problem. The problem becomes if it starts to progress and let's say, conquer more and more territory of your respiratory system. So this is the overall concept application in the case of COVID-19. And we are currently also doing medical trials with several hospitals here in Bulgaria. Though there the patients are with more severe symptoms already. We want to go a step back and monitor people who are infected and are staying at home because they don't have complications yet. And hopefully they won't. But maybe a fraction of them, unfortunately, will have complications, and we want to spot that in advance. The cool thing about this, though, is that it can be applied in other use cases like injuries, even oncology, for example, breast cancer, because women's breasts are exposed, obviously, I mean, just positionally, and you have very visible changes if you have certain inflammatory process that is like a pre-sign of upcoming potential cancer disease, because it's related. Before that, you have inflammations there. Or alternatively, as a monitoring tool of how therapy is going, if you're under some kind of therapy for cancer treatment, instead of having to wait 3-4 months and going to the CT or to X-ray to track your progress, you can, of course, this is not replacing the need, but it's assisting, let's say, on a weekly basis or on a daily basis, depending on the specificity of the therapy and your immune response, you can monitor yourself.
Wow.
So it's a very unique concept, and why we are excited about it, because it's a typical cross-field innovation. You know, it's a innovation between medical science, between the application of thermal cameras and our expertise that lays into image recognition. And it now, looking back, it seems like almost like it's so obvious why nobody has done this before. Part of the reason for that is that typically the precision of this camera is not very high. So it can give you an offset. Let's say it can tell it's 37 degrees Celsius, but it's actually 36. And this is still true for this camera. It's very unique, and maybe you spotted this. You see different segments on my face. And it doesn't matter if it thinks that my throat is 37 and my forehead is 37, or it thinks that my throat is 36 and my forehead is 36. If they're the same temperature, this means something. So we don't need to know the exact absolute temperature. We need to know the correlation. Let's say, are those the same temperature, or one is hotter than the other? And this camera is good enough for that purpose. With the additional post-processing that we do.
So how long did you guys take to build this? Because I believe, I mean, you guys have a great team, I know that, but it looks like pretty quickly you guys built this technology.
Yes. Well, I think today we make like 41 days since we are working on that. We started on the 20th of March. This was when we get in the initial contact with the medical research team. But the thing is that we were almost working 24/7. I mean, part of Imagga is dedicated to this project, as well as these external professionals. And we are almost in 24/7 mode working on this. That's why for less than a month and a half, we were able to achieve a lot of progress. We even have the initial version of this application on test flight, and people who have such type of mobile attachable thermal cameras can use it. Currently, it's making diagnosis. It's more collecting thermal data, because before we want to make the step toward assisting in diagnosis, we want to conclude the current medical trials that we do in these hospitals that I mentioned about. But we believe that in a few weeks' time, we'll be able also to be very good in this early alert and early warning for people of no matter what type of respiratory infection. Because if we think from a pure humanic point of view, COVID-19 is the trendy thing in a bad way right now. But if you're going to develop pneumonia for whatever reason, it's good to know. And the good thing is that with this tool, with this overall system and combination of input and analysis, you can know about upcoming progressing infection. And that's the beauty, I think, of this project, no matter of what kind of disease. Of course, if you want to differentiate between COVID-19 and others, they have different patterns of distribution, so we can do that. For example, COVID-19 is typically skipping the throat and it's going directly from the nose to the trachea. But for us, it's more like, let's help people who are going to have complications know about this earlier so they can prevent it. That's the, let's say, our mission that we want to achieve.
But I think you guys are getting into a great line, because handle, like products like this, where it could be consumer based products, would be definitely required much more in the future as well. Because if I want to know what's going on with my system, I've heard somebody talking about, we already have the heart rates, the breathing patterns and all that in place, but to have a thermal camera with thermal information like this and technology with your AI is actually going to be a big requirement in the future as well. If it's a personal product, and somebody can just go buy it offline and download the software, I think everybody would love to get that. Especially this, like you said, COVID-19 is a catalyst to all of this now. So
Exactly. Yeah, it's just the trigger. Of course, we want to help as much as we can in this. Any use of our software will be for free during the pandemic state. We are not going to speculate, with people's health. But in the long term, we believe that these kind of services, they can really help for a very positive change in preventive medicine and telemedicine, because this is good for everybody. I mean, for healthcare systems of the country, for health insurers, everybody wants people to be healthy.
yeah,
Because if they're not, this is hurting economies, this is hurting the health insurers themselves. And the pharmaceutical companies in a way as well. So we see a lot of support currently, both on a local level and to a certain extent international as well. Also for the oncology use case potentially of this in the future, maybe not so distant future. So it's really exciting times. It's a very pity that this overall pandemic situation is taking lives of people, obviously. But at the same time, it might be a good trigger for a lot of things to change for the positive in the future in terms of preventive medicine and overall improvement of health of people. Because a lot of things haven't changed in medical systems for 20 years. And,
yeah,
in every other area of life,
yeah. Very true. Very.
nothing is the same as it was 20 years ago. And in medicine, still a lot of things are as they were.
Yeah. Because I believe, because it has a lot of regulations around it. That's where even if you come up with good technology, it takes quite a bit of time to get approvals, and so that's where there is. But with this pandemic, a lot of companies and a lot of organizations and government are going to kind of push and try new things out and see what works and what does not work, and fix and fine tune the technologies to kind of give the technology to the masses, right? Because in the end, if you can diagnose early yourself, then you know where you're going right, where you're going wrong. Do you need to go to the hospital right away, not wait for things to get worse? So it's actually a great idea you guys are entering into it, and you already had that base of the image recognition expertise. So this is fantastic news for you guys.
Yes.
I'm going to root for you
We're,
guys for sure, because I know you guys build excellent products. So we really like to see what you guys can do, in the next time.
thank you very much, Avinash.
It's
Thank
actually
you very
great.
much for this opportunity and
We
the
have
support.
we have a little disturbance in the connection right now, so I'm going to try and keep this short. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to ask me questions about your product, and where can they find more information. Is there a website you've made for it?
Yeah, we have a website. It's mykelf.in. Interesting domain name
Yeah.
as well. The project is called Kelvin, or Kelvin Health, this new spin-off company that we're doing right now. But Kelvin is the code name of the project, and the website is mykelf.in. They can sign up for the test flight beta there, and there's some basic information. Of course, I'm also available on LinkedIn directly or through some of my colleagues to answer any questions. So thank you very much for this exposure and visibility. And I'm welcoming everybody who wants to learn more. level or on the business to business cooperation level, I'm very open to that, and I love LinkedIn as a channel as well. So feel free to approach me.
You could, viewers, you can find more about George at our speakers list. His LinkedIn profile is linked there as well. He, like I said, he's the CEO of Imagga, so you could, link him on LinkedIn.com. Georgi Kadrev, and we would love to do another session with you, Georgi. Follow up on what's going on with your product as well. So we'll probably do another one in 10, 15 days or maybe a month's time to get an update of what news new with your technology.
I'll be very happy.
Yeah. Well, have a good day.
Thank you very much, Avinash, for the opportunity and the great initiative.
Yeah. Thank you so much, George, and have a good day, sir. Bye-bye.
Likewise. Bye-bye.